Okay, so we got the ID. Okay, show the audience, I guess. This is too much. Okay. All right, are you good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my name is Bailey Bogan, and today I'm going to do a persuasive speech on the need to change male eating disorder diagnosis criteria. So before I talk about why we need a need for a change, first I'm going to do some background information on eating disorders that are currently happening in males. So there's this researcher named Murray who's been doing a lot of research recently, and in 2012 he notified that 95% of American males may be dissatisfied with their appearance. And in 2017, he discovered that less than 1% of all empirical research has focused on males. So the fact that 95% of people are having these difficulties, but only 1% of the research is being done, makes a big difference in how the treatment that they're going to get. And then Forbes did a study in 2019 and discovered that 10 to 30% of individuals with eating disorders are males, so 95% of males may be having difficulties with their appearance, but only 30% are being diagnosed, and this could be for multiple reasons, such as they don't go to the hospital because they don't think they have a problem, they feel like they can't go because they have a problem, or anything like that, so the ratio isn't equal in what's being treated. And then Arnroe in 2017 did another study to prove the difference between males and females when it comes to eating disorders. So most men and boys as young as 6 report a strong preference for a more muscular physique. When it comes to females, they're expected to be skinny and have a model figure, while males want to be more muscular, so they'll eat protein and go to the gym multiple times a day to be buff, but then they'll look in the mirror and see themselves as skinny, while females will starve themselves or over-exercise or skip meals, and then they look in the mirror and see themselves as fat when they're really skinny. So the differences for males is there's things such as family contributions, body image complications, and thin versus muscular issues that make it different from female eating disorders. And then Murray in 2012 did another study that said that research sample size is a huge issue when it comes to male eating disorder criteria, because only 21 participants are being tested, so you can't generalize this population to the general public and figure out if there's a connection in this male versus this male, or if it's happening throughout a whole population. So my objective for this presentation is to explain to you that males and females clearly express disordered eating in different fashions, causing a need of change in the male testing criteria, so these males can be diagnosed properly and get the proper treatment to maintain a long and healthy life. The issue with today's current testing criteria is when they do the DSM-5, which is the psychology book to diagnose eating disorders, it's heteronormative wording. So this means the way the test is formatted is it's going to only apply to females. It'll ask, have you skipped meals? Are you losing weight? Is your BMI below 18 or something like that? But of course, all males are going to say no, because that's not what's happening to them. There's also a confusion of difference between males and females, like I talked about before, how males get really buff and see themselves as skinny, while females are really skinny but see themselves as fat. So that's another thing that's going to be different on the testing criteria. And the last part is the stigma around male disordered eating, that nobody really thinks that males have an eating disorder. So when there's issues with their health, that's not the first thing that a family member would think of that they have. They would just be like, oh, maybe you need to eat more, but they're already eating too much protein and things like that. So it's a bad stigma for them. So the problem at hand now that's happening is a huge portion of the male population is or could be experiencing disordered eating, but the proper treatment is not in place for them. And there's a lot of misdiagnosis happening because of the criteria that's currently being used. So now we have a need for change. Currently, the testing criteria is heteronormative, like I talked about previously. The lack of knowledge on the topic is unacceptable for males because they should be getting the same treatment that females are getting. For females, it seems to be the first thing they think of. They get treated right away, go to a nutritionist, a dietitian, or anything like that, and then get the treatment that they need at a young age. And then also, men do not have the same opportunity as women with this diagnosis because of the lack of knowledge. So now my plan for the time for action here is to create a new testing criteria that has male-centered questions and allows them to be properly diagnosed in hopes that this will prevent misdiagnosis in males. So the way I would like to do this is I would have males that have already been diagnosed with an eating disorder and split them into two groups, even though we already know that they have been diagnosed based off of research before, but give them the old DSM-5 testing criteria and the new one that's more male-centric and compare their diagnosis. And then what I'm thinking would happen is if they take the DSM-5, even though it's already been proven that they have an eating disorder, based off the test that they take, it'll say that they don't have one. And then if they take the new one and do the questions that are more male-centric, apply to their body image, apply to the more gym, protein, lifestyle, then it'll say that they do have an eating disorder. So when you compare the analysis with each other, it's going to be obvious that there needs to be a change in this testing criteria to help males in the future. So my goal for you today is to understand that eating disorders are not a female-only disease and it does not discriminate males, females, age, or anything like that. And actions need to be made so treatment can become equally accessible in the future. So if you see someone you know and you see some disordered eating, now you'll be knowledgeable on the topic that maybe they do have an eating disorder, but instead of saying eating disorder, maybe talk to them in a way, call it disordered eating, or approach it in a different way so they don't feel attacked and can feel like they can get help in the future. And then here are my references.